tal? Aquí Adrián para Primer Fanzine. I'm here with Enrico from Hideous Divinity. Thank you for coming, and how's the tour so far?
Thank you so much for having me. The tour has been it's been great, super challenging, but that's something that we miss so much after more than 2 years being completely stopped. Actually, our last tour, our last concerts were here, not so far from here. We played the last concert of the tour with Vader in 2020. That was February the 29th in LA. We flew back to Italy, and literally 9 days later we were on a lockdown. We certainly had way different plans the last time we played. Here in Arizona, we played in Mesa at Club Red. It looked like it was going to be a very promising year. 2020 turned out to be not so cool, but for a lot of people, we had it lucky. We were actually one of the few bands that can say that completed the tour in 2020, if you think about it. How many bands can say that? And 2 years later, we are here again, and we are super blessed, super pumped. It's hot as a son of a gun here in Arizona, but we just love it in here. The concert went great, super great crowd. They remembered us from the last concerts, which is something that makes us really proud. Super cool.
Well, now I'm curious now that you mention it. I mean, I have another topics to talk about, but how was for you guys facing the pandemic? Because I remember following some other Italian bands, especially Aberring. I was, I believe, Fabrizio, that's his name.
Yeah.
He was one of my main
Correspondence.
I wouldn't say respondents, but I was like the eye for myself seeing what was going on in Italy.
Of course.
You know, he was showing footage of like streets closed and that sort of things. It was quite scary. Those were quite scary times.
Yeah.
How did you face that? I mean, we'll come back to the music, but now that you mentioned it, I'm curious about it.
Well, we had, I think, the first phase was the fear. For a very simple reason, because no one alive had faced the pandemic before. And what happened in Italy was that things were bad from day one. First of all, because we didn't know how to treat the disease. That will have come months later. So people were dying in intensive care because they didn't know how to treat this thing. They didn't know how to stop the disease from killing a man. And then there is another thing. Italy is a very old country. The average age is very old. So a lot of old people, which were, for example, exposed in the elderly houses and places like that, they started dying, and the numbers were really spooky. So the rest of the world was looking at us, at Italy, at something like, what's going on in there? And I think they were both scared and curious because they knew that the pandemic was coming to their country as well. So I'm talking about myself. We had it pretty rough from March to May 2020. Then things started to get a bit loose, and we had a summertime where a lot of people behaved irresponsibly. So back in autumn 2020, things were even worse. As for me, it was a bit bummer, but I certainly had it much, much better than other people. I was at home with my wife, we were our 2 kitties. My family was closed. I managed to keep my job, man. I was lucky. Like, truly, I was pissed because we already had a tour for April, May in Europe with Terrorizer that I was so looking forward to it. But when the entire world is struck by a pandemic, you're like, yeah, Terrorizer, okay, fine, that sucks, but better luck next time. And then things started slowly to come back, and then there was a new wave, and then again an in and out. And I think in Italy, after all, we kind of behaved compared to other places. And now it's just, I think we are converging to the point when this, hopefully in some time, will be just a pretty heavy, contagious flu, and life will just go on. I have my own thoughts about this being a message from the planet, because it's no coincidence that we, like a destroyed forest and some bat went where it was not supposed to go when things happen. I think everything happens for a reason, and we're certainly not helping this planet to help us. But yeah, things in Italy were a bit scary at the beginning. Then, it became a bit boring. That's when we started working on a new EP, just to give ourselves the illusion that soon things will be back to normal.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Were you guys in contact? I mean, like physical contact? Like, were you guys like gathering as at a rehearsal place, or were you just like sharing files or that sort of? That sort of way
that was mostly. Well, that was actually our way of doing things even before.
Okay.
But we're all from the same town, and except those 2 months of the heavy pandemic and lockdowns and stuff, Rome, compared to the rest of Italy, had it pretty nice compared, for example, to northern Italy when things were really, really bad. So after 2 months of lockdown, we managed to see each other, being super careful. We went back to the rehearsal room after 60 days or something. And it was rather cool to get back together. When we hit the second wave in October, I'm like, if we don't do something, even something small as a band, we're just going to freak out. So we asked Century Media, would you be interested in releasing an EP, not a long full length, because to do full length in the middle of a pandemic, it was not a good idea, not a good strategy. And to my big surprise, positive surprise, they said, yeah, sure, that's a great idea. Let's make an EP. So we got together in January. We worked on this alien-based concept, and we had very nice days when we had like the illusion that, you know, when you're back in the studio is always a great time. In studio, all dreams are still true. Everything is, I'm still passionate when I enter the studio, because I still think I'm not going to record so many albums. So every recording session should be something precious. And that was the spirit, and I think it definitely helped us in a very selfish way.
Well, now that you mentioned that, there is a new album, a new single, a new couple. I think there are 3 songs out, as far as I know.
That's it.
How was that development of the music? How was the approach of creating new music? I know you guys are really into horror movies, or that was like some sort of that's like the main I would say topic or inspiration wise, the way I understand it.
Totally.
How's that approach on turning that into a song? I mean, someone watch music, or you leave that to certain band member, and it's like, all right, this is what the song's gonna about, and then you stick to guitar. To your instruments, if you will.
Actually, I came out with the music and with the idea of a concept. Then, of course, it is my duty to make it look like something really good from the beginning, because the guys are spoiled. If I don't bring them an idea that is solid, they will be very critical, because after so many years, everyone in Hideous Divinity has their own, musical personality. When we started a long time ago, it was me with a bunch of people, and they were basically following what I was telling them. Those things changed rapidly, because everybody's been on a scene for quite some time, so everybody's got their inputs. As for the ideas, I bring the music. I've been listening to musical soundtracks for like forever. The entire pandemic, it was me running for miles and miles a day, just trying not to freak out, because it was the only sport that I was able to do. And I had this James Horner soundtrack of Aliens all the time, and I'm like, this could be an inspiration for a concept. So it's not only the concept of aliens, but it's also the musical concept of a fantastic score that was written by a fantastic composer in like 2 weeks, because the production plans of that movie were totally insane. And I got a couple of ideas from the main riffs of the orchestral theme, and it worked. I'm like, this could be something. Plus, who doesn't love some alien-related stuff in metal? So the connection was, but I didn't want it to be cheesy, you know. I didn't want it to be just a concept about aliens. No, it's actually the story about the little girl in Aliens. It's the story about Newt. And ironically enough, many well, not many years, but recently I've been finally hitting one of the must-read books of all times, that is Stephen King's It, which has something that I found so similar with the concept, and that is how kids face monsters. And the final message is that kids have the power to face monsters and to defeat them in a way that older people will never have. So they are way stronger if you think about it. And that's exactly what happens with Newt in Aliens. She manages to survive on LV-46 chased by aliens when all the other adults have been killed. So you see the entire story through the eyes of a kid. And at the same time, I also thought, this is the pandemic time. So many people are facing their own demons, like within four walls. So I thought it was a good moment to talk about demons and monsters, the ones we claim that they don't exist, but actually they do exist.
So you're coming with a couple of new singles, or 3, as I believe, or I'm not sure, or EP?
It's 2 new songs and a cover by Coed and Cambria, which not many people know. Yeah, that's right. Well, there are 2 kinds of covers. The first ones are exact copies of the original, and the second ones are something a bit more creative that you want to readapt to your own style. The first type, I'm not interested. The second style, I actually thought, what about taking a song that has nothing to do with us, from a band that has no connection with us, and use it, for example, the way a band like Ulcerate, which is the band that I worship, would do. And the result is, I was so afraid that a lot of Coed and Cambria fans will go mad, like, what the fuck, what's wrong with you people, it sucks. And the ones that noticed actually liked it, and it made me really happy. Really happy.
Okay, so you have I don't know if I said it before, because we have cars and people passing by, and I don't know, I get distracted. But your newest member, it's I can't remember his name, but it was from 2013. I think it was the bass player, according to Metal Archives. So my whole point is that you having all these members for this long, that creates a really strong lineup. You know, it's like there's this connection. You guys really know what you want, or you know how to communicate. Definitely, and that helps to create this concept, to create a band that definitely develops a concept and develops a music. What's the word? Like your style of music. You know, it definitely creates your seal. I don't know if that's the word. You know, like you can definitely where you hear a riff, is like, okay, that's them. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's what these bands, like in this case, you guys are developing at this point, because it's the same guys playing for this long. There is this link, this kind of
we also fight a lot, because now like I said, there is no we're not afraid to give each other bad feedback when it's necessary, because we all have our personality, our creative ideas, and our convictions. But we certainly evolved as a band. Every album of our discography, and we made 4 plus an EP, belongs to a different period of time. There was a different band in my head at every point, at every album, that I wanted to emulate. Because music changes, and I believe, and luckily also the guys believe the same, that you just cannot spend time after time, album after album, always doing the same thing. Every album has been influenced by a number of bands that in that time were crucial to me, but not the same bands I had in my head exclusively from the first to the 4th album and the same way, because music changed, and I like to think that also our style evolved. Now, whether it evolves towards something that you like or not, that is your personal taste, and I can do very little about that. What I can tell you is that I've discovered bands in the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years that really resonated in me in a different way. I started with Nile, and Nile is still a great band. Hate Eternal, still amazing band, Decapitated, but something happened in the last 10 years to certain black death metal. Some bands came out that to me, they started a new revolution. Bands like Magwa from Poland, Bolzer, not to mention some divinities like Death Spell Omega, Ulcerate as well. There are so many bands out there that they're doing something different, original, when you thought it was not possible anymore. And those bands I worship. What I mean by worship is, I get what they're doing, and they're doing it so well. And there is no need to be the fastest band. Anyway, I love black death metal bands like so much, and even if you don't see them directly in Hideous Divinity, that's where we're heading. Because that's where I see the interest of the new listeners. There are some bands that make you feel like you belong to something dark and secret, like some sort of a secret cult, and you want to be part of it. And bands that manage to do that in an era where everybody is on digital, sharing everything, live streamings and this and that, blah, blah. If you manage to do something like that in 2022, that means that you're really good.
Italian bands. We don't get that many Italian bands. The only one that I can tell of at the moment, maybe there are so many, or at least, I might be wrong, correct me if you know, Flesh God Apocalypse.
Of course.
That's, I think, on the underground extreme movement. They are the top band. But it's still, there are many other bands that you will definitely
totally recommend.
Recommend.
Following up what I just said, there are bands that what they're doing, we played together in a festival in Rome not so long ago. And these bands, it looks like they're taking everything that we did and they just smashing it to pieces, and they are taking the pieces and creating something new, which is amazing. I love the fact that they are doing something so original, refusing that sort of a production that we've been fighting for such a long time. They want a different approach. And if I had to mention a few of them, I will tell you Ad Nauseam. They're an amazing band. Giulio plays in another band who's called Nero di Marte. If you're into something like, again, something that's going to make you trip in terms of music, that's another band. Another band is called Devoid of Thought. They're amazing. Then there's Burial. There is a band called Bad Sore, who's a band that's going to surprise you, because if you're thinking about an unconventional link between that thrash, that black metal, and prog rock, they have it all. And trust me, it works. All these bands are like, they're young bands, and they're coming out with something so fresh today. It really makes me proud to, even if I influenced this much, it makes me so proud. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of their music.
Just last one question. What's next for the band? I mean, we definitely want you guys to see you back, especially with the longer set.
Yeah.
Hopefully, not necessarily, but it always helps. A bigger production, maybe. I don't know if that's part of the set, because your videos are quite eye-shocking. And that it will be, at least the way I see it right now, that will bring something to the table. So what are the plans for the bands? Are we hopefully not as a band wise, but I mean, if the war continues, with the situation, with a better situation and improving and nothing bad happens, are we expecting to see? Can we expect to see you guys again soon? And
the answer is yes, actually. We do have something planned for the end of the year. I can't tell much more right now, but yeah, it's on the works. It's nothing official, but we know right now that perhaps the only place where we could make extended tours is the US. And we already had, before this one, we already had 2 tours, which were perhaps the best tour experiences of my life. I am stoked every time I come to see TDS. In the meantime, of course, we'll have to start working seriously on the new album, which will definitely be released sometimes next year. But I'm a very slow writer, and the guys, tracks are really complex, so I really need to push myself into giving them music so we can work on it with many, many months in advance. So the moment that we enter the studio, all our complex textures will be decided, and we'll only have to record it without struggling with it. So I'll have to balance this. I'll have to balance the songwriting process with what's gonna come. Hopefully, like I said, within this year again in the US, and there will definitely be a new album in 2023. And how is that gonna sound? It's gonna be again another movie-related concept, which I hope will not disappoint anybody. We'll just take everything that worked in the last LV426 EP. Some experiments were successful, some others were not so successful, but I have a lot of material, a lot of motivation to make it even more epic, so to say. I know it's just, the next album is gonna be the heaviest and most epic. Well, I try to work on that for real. So if not, there's not gonna be a new record. I can tell you that we wouldn't do this only because we have to. Especially because I think people will notice. People are really good at noticing things when you just do them because you have to. And the moment that will happen, it will probably be the end of Hideous Divinity. So I hope it will never happen.
All right, that's it for Ramos. Unless you have anything to ask.
What is your favorite band at the moment? What you're listening to? It's important for me to know.
That's a tricky question because, as you must know, you as a musician,
think about it.
I'm very eclectic, so I follow a lot of bands. I can think 3 at the top of my mind right now, at the top of my head right now. That must be Arcturus from Norway.
Whoa, of course.
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this one right. Analna track or A.
Analna track, yeah, they're great.
From England, and Umgwa.
Oh yeah.
These are, but it's not. It's kind of hard, to be limited to use that.
But these 3 bands have something in common to me. First of all, I like them all. Second of all, their music takes you places. It's not only about speed. It's not only about double kick. Analna track, even if they're super savage with their production, you're like, the epicness of the notes that they play, it's so contagious. You're like, this is my new favorite band. Or McVa. McVa is like a secret society. Those guys are maniacs. It's always cool because when you ask things like that to people, which will bring me to my next question to you, is what do you expect now from a live metal show? After such a long waiting, what is that you miss the most and that you find you use back at metal show and you're like, I miss this particular thing so much? What is that?
Okay, first of all, I didn't expect to be interviewed on one of my interviews. So that's very unexpected and that's pretty cool. So I appreciate it. Or I hate it. I don't know. I'm confused right now.
To answer. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. Good point. I don't know. It was just, I think at the end of the day, it's about having that congregation of metalheads and, feel all the...
You're with family again.
Regarding the band that is playing. So we had a technical issue. I'm not sure where the video stopped, but
being part of a metal community again when you go live, you said that is important.
Yes,
to me.
I think it's about I remember my first metal show after the Pandemia.
Yeah,
it was this side Cataclysm and
Internal Bleeding.
There you go. Oh yeah, you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
And it was definitely feeling there again, being alive, oh shit, we made it. Or I think we made it, I'm not sure yet. probably this is gonna change next year or something like that. But at that point, that's what I felt like. Okay, there is this movement where I've been involved for the past 25 years or so, and here we are again after 2 years or so of being.
So that feeling of belonging again.
Definitely, and that was the best part. I mean, you feel just like, okay, I think we'll be all right. I think that was the best part, and if we can add to that, just I think it was the cheesy part of it, like, oh shit, there is hope. Even like metalheads, we always try to approach the evil, death, and all that. We know all that's just a fairy tale. At the end of the day, we're just gonna have fun, and then, I mean, some of us, there must be the guys that actually hate life and all that, But that's
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. That's about the fun of it, about also being realistic in a stretched time when for so many people not being able to go to metal shows was a big part of their life that was missing. I have a lot of friends in the US, the most dedicated, enthusiastic fans on the planet, and they were missing, of course, Hideous Divinity playing, but what they were missing was their metal family at shows. It was like you're still not able to see a part of your family, even if you're allowed to go out because there is not a lockdown. But it makes me really happy to hear that, and I really hope things will continue this way. And right now, you guys in the US are getting so many tours; it's insane, right? Almost.
It's overwhelming.
Perhaps that. I wish we could have made it even before, but for us, I mean, if you think about it, when you had this hidden cataclysm, I still had to have my first vaccine in Italy. So for me, the idea of traveling, let alone doing a tour, it was unthinkable. Then I got my first, my second dose, even my third one in January. But until that time, for me, the idea of tourism, let alone playing, not that I'm personally afraid of the virus itself. I behave in a responsible way. But I mean, I really wish I'd be there with touring with these other catechisms, because apparently they made a sold out and beyond every single day. But for us in Europe, it was like, we were watching videos of you guys and we were like, oh man, is that real?
I wish
is that
I was
real
there.
people?
I'm
Anyway.
just CGI. That's not happening right now.
I thought about that. Anyway, just it's always cool to. After all, we are the same, which is metal fans. I just play guitar, and I am blessed with luck to be doing that on a tour in the US. But at the end, we both worship the same bands, and we're both. This is what's keeping me alive. I'm not going to tell you my age, but I'm not that young anymore. And,
You look fine for a 52 years old man.
That's it. On my knees. But I mean, I'm still doing this, and I still find a purpose in what I'm doing, and all the choices in my life have brought me to this moment in Mesa, Arizona, 2022, having this interview with you. So I'm.
That's part of living a dream.
I regret nothing.
There you go. We'll finish with that.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything else to say.
No, just thank you very much for coming. Thank you for coming so early at the show in Mesa. It has been awesome tonight. And we still have 9 more dates until the tour is over. Last one will be in Pittsburgh with Hypocrsy. It has been great, and we are already looking forward to come back. So thank you so much, man.
Muchas gracias. Anything in Spanish for
Gracias.
Spanish speakers?
Os agradecemos. Bueno, queremos darles las gracias como Hideous Divinity a todos por el soporte, por venir a nuestros conciertos, por escuchar nuestra música, y sin vosotros no somos nada. Simplemente estar aquí, tenemos la suerte de estar aquí y se lo agradecemos. Y hasta la próxima.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, man. I highly appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming.